up, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the GC Roundup presented by Clint Hammond of the Mortgage Network, where we keep you up to speed on everything you need to know in Gamecock Nation. I'm your host, Kendall Smith, and this week on the show, we're talking South Carolina's Week 5 matchup against the Troy Trojans, plus one of South Carolina football's big-time recruits announced his commitment date. Stay tuned for more on that, and although South Carolina football lost to Kentucky this past weekend, it is not all bad in the world of Gamecock athletics. Stay tuned for more on this edition of the GC Roundup. South Carolina football is 2-2 on the season, but head coach Shane Beamer had a strong message for fans during his Tuesday press conference. Check it out.
But the real travesty in this whole situation would be if we didn't get better as a football team. We are 2-2. It is still September. The sky is not falling. We have to play better. We have to coach better. We've lost to two undefeated teams that are good veteran football teams, and we got a great opportunity this week to bounce back. We got a bunch of fighters on our football team that are staying together. We had a fantastic practice this morning.
Jalen Foster leads the SEC and is tied for first place nationally in interceptions. Defensive coordinator Clayton White spoke to the media on Wednesday about what's going right with the South Carolina defense.
Jalen has done a great job this year as far as just, like we said last week, leading the defense and coming to work every single day, trying to get better. There's been some players in the past at other places, but Jalen's on a different level right now, at the highest level in college football, as far as the SEC, but definitely proud of how he's working. I'm proud of how he's bringing other guys along, being an influence to the other players on the defense and the football team.
Offensively, however, things have gotten off to a slow start for the Gamecocks. Offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield spoke on that during his Wednesday press conference.
I feel great that we have playmakers and we can make explosive plays. I think that, as coaches, we have to put them in more positions to make those plays, and then we have to be more consistent globally, player, coach, everything, the execution of the offense in order to have a chance to make those plays. But I think that we do have some guys that are definitely playmakers in this league, and we have to give them more opportunities, and we have to get more opportunities.
The mindset surrounding the offense, though, isn't all that bad. On Tuesday, Juju McDowell gave big props to his offensive coordinator during a press conference.
Really, with Coach Satterfield, he's like an offensive mastermind, so our playbook is constantly changing.
It's time for this week's edition of Unfiltered on the GC Roundup. And this week features someone who has yet to make an appearance on the show, and that is South Carolina punter Kai Kroger. He spoke in a press conference on Tuesday about the coaching style of special teams coordinator Pete Lembo. And I guess Coach Lembo is a little bit of a historical guy. Check out what Kai had to say.
Coach Lembo. Coach Lembo's, I would say, definitely really dedicated to what he does, and is really loves special teams as a whole. He loves referring to World War II, World War I, referring things to those times. And I loved, whether it's in our meetings, he refers to the Geneva Convention and making sure everyone's happy, and I didn't even know what that was.
A big-time South Carolina football recruit is announcing his commitment on October 13th. Oscar Delp, the number 2 ranked tight end in the class of 2022, is down to just 4 schools: South Carolina, Clemson, Georgia, and Michigan. Now, speaking of recruits, this past weekend was a big one in terms of recruiting for South Carolina. For all of the analysis, breaking news, and information you could possibly need, head over to GamecockCentral.com, where our recruiting insiders Wes Mitchell and Chris Clark will get you up to speed on everything you need to know in the world of recruiting. It is Thursday, and you know what that means, GC Nation. It is officially time for Throwback Thursday on the GC Roundup. And we're throwing it all the way back to 2010. I was just 10 years old the last time that South Carolina played Troy, and they won by a score of 69-24. Now, South Carolina has played Troy 3 times in the history of the program, and they have won all 3 times. But head coach Shane Beamer knows this weekend is still going to be a challenge.
We know what we're getting into, and this is a team that has a transfer quarterback that has SEC experience, a good group of running backs, one of whom was the preseason conference player of the year a couple years ago before he injured his knee, and is still in the rotation. some size at receiver, and then really what jumps out at these guys is their defense. I mean, when you talk about wreaking havoc, this defense wreaks havoc.
I've got some good news for you, Gamecocks. This past week, in their first event of the season, the South Carolina men's golf team took home the gold medal at the JT Poston Invitational at Sapphire Valley. I guess the men's golf team was just feeling inspired by that Ryder Cup victory by the United States of America, which, by the way, go Team USA, and also a big congratulations to the men's golf team at South Carolina. Now, going back to golf, South Carolina women's golf is doing pretty darn well too. They're currently ranked number 1 in the nation according to the Women's Golf Coaches Association national poll. They won their first match of the season by 7 shots over 11 ranked opponents. In South Carolina women's soccer, they're on a roll too. They're currently 3-0 in the SEC. And this past weekend, they beat Kentucky with a final score of 2-1. So it wasn't a clean sweep over this last weekend for the Kentucky Wildcats. The women's soccer team plays at home on Friday against Auburn at 7 p.m. And I know last weekend was pretty rough with South Carolina football losing to Kentucky. But like I said earlier, it is not all bad in the world of Gamecock sports. The 2021 recruiting class for South Carolina baseball is ranked 9th in the nation according to Perfect Game and 17th according to Collegiate Baseball. The Gamecocks will scrimmage on Friday at 3:45 p.m. and on Saturday at 11:15 a.m. So be sure to head over to Founders Park this weekend to get your fix of fall baseball. That's all I have for you guys this week on the GC Roundup, presented by Clint Hammond of the Mortgage Network, where we keep you up to speed on everything you need to know in Gamecock Nation. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode, and don't forget to subscribe to GamecockCentral.com. We've got so much content that comes out every single week. It is well worth your money, and if you don't subscribe to Gamecock Central, then you're going to have FOMO, fear of missing out, and you don't want that. So make sure you go head over and subscribe if you aren't already. And if you are subscribed, we are so happy to have you, and I'm so happy to have you join me on this week's edition of the GC Roundup. Don't forget, it is always a great day to be a Gamecock. We've got so much more content coming for you this week on GamecockCentral.com, and I will see you back on Saturday morning for Before the Sandstorm with Wes Mitchell. But until then, have a wonderful Thursday, everybody, and I'll see you next time.